because we here in the Carolinas, if you've been keeping up with some of the new laws that we've talked about in recent months and really in recent years as well, have seen in both Carolinas attempts to curb cell phone usage by students in the classroom. In fact, in North Carolina, you'll remember over the summer, Governor Josh Stein signed a law that would essentially have all of the public schools align their policies with this new statewide policy that would restrict cell phone usage during classroom time. And in South Carolina, we're actually in the midst of what will be the first full school year of a similar policy being in place. And we actually mentioned in some reporting several weeks back how South Carolina early surveys was showing that this seems to be kind of a success, at least thus far, amongst teachers. Now, here to talk about this some more, we've got Leigh Waldman, who's speaking specifically on New York schools, because we know New York became the latest state to implement this bell-to-bell ban. So this is another attempt we're seeing where we've got more and more states that are jumping on this push to limit cell phone usage in schools. Leigh, tell us a bit about what officials and schools are learning with this new policy in place.
Vanessa, it's good to be with you. Educators are the ones seeing the impact in classrooms firsthand when it comes to cell phones. Kids are distracted. They're prioritizing time on social media over their academic lessons. Some feel that this all-out cell phone ban is the best solution.
I was at my daughter's public school the other day, and 3 of the 5 teachers, unprompted, brought up that the hallways are louder than ever because the kids are laughing because they're hanging out and talking. They're not staring at their screens.
Father of 2 and founder of Phone Free New York, Raj Goyal, is seeing the difference already after New York became one of the latest states to implement a ban on phones in schools.
It's a very important thing, not only for educational outcomes, but socialization, that we get kids off of these screens.
For many making these decisions to ban the use of smartphones, it's less about driving academic success and more about caring for the social and emotional well-being of students.
Phones make it easier for conflict to escalate and for harmful interactions to follow students throughout the day. And additionally, there are concerns about students being exposed to distressing or even violent content online, which can have lasting effects on their mental health.
As of this past spring, 9 states had statewide policies banning or restricting cell phones in schools. More than a dozen other states have introduced legislation to do the same.
I think secretly, and if you look at all of the studies, kids like this law, and they say one thing very clearly, which is, please take my phone away as long as you take everybody's phone away.
Patton says ultimately it's not just about banning cell phones in school. It's about fostering an environment where kids can thrive and be fully present in their classrooms. Vanessa?
Yeah, I mean, and Leigh, we kind of prefaced our conversation here with the fact that here in the Carolinas, this has been discussed as well. And we saw, I think it was probably the main pushback maybe from parents, where a lot of parents were curious, what would students do if there were emergency and they couldn't access their phones because maybe they were put away in a locker, or however the school district wanted to handle that. What are you all seeing in your case, if there's some kind of emergency in school and kids can't access their cell phones there in New York?
That's a very valid question. It's one we asked too. Many law enforcement officials back these kinds of bans, and they want parents to know that the adults at the schools still have their cell phones, so that staff, the teachers, they're able to call law enforcement if an emergency were to arise. Here in New York, whenever they started to implement this law and roll it out this latest school year, they also required that districts start to test their emergency contact systems they have in place to ensure that if an alert needs to go out, it can.
Yeah, really interesting move. And I'm curious to see, what the result is as the weeks and the months go on with these bans in place and whether they continue to be a success. Thank you so much, Leigh. We appreciate you joining us here on Live Impact News.